I'm DINGO Cannon, and this is Standing Ground. Okay, so I've just watched it, Leaving Neverland, Part 1, the HBO documentary. So I'm going to break it down here. I took notes as I watched this thing, and I came into this thing very open-minded. I really wanted to be open-minded and give this documentary the benefit of the doubt. But as you saw when I reviewed the trailer, and we revealed the one eye, the Illuminati one eye in the trailer, it made me think maybe this whole thing is a setup and possibly a lie. But even in knowing that, I still went in with an open mind. And the bombshell that this dropped in the last couple of days was pretty crazy. I mean, just coming in today on my news feed saying that around the world news stations are now banning all Michael Jackson songs because of Leaving Neverland. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous. I think that what they're doing is they're holding this one man's legacy hostage, or basically they've destroyed it now. They've destroyed Michael Jackson's legacy over two guys, Jimmy Safechuck and Wade Robson, that have made these accusations. And the man Michael Jackson can't defend himself because he's already allegedly dead. So why is the whole entire Michael legacy going on two guys that previously said he didn't touch him? Now that Michael has passed away, they come out only now. That's pretty low. In anyone's book, that's a low act, right? So already that draws suspicions that people are saying they're out to destroy, or whether it's them or whether it's powers to be that are out to destroy this black man's legacy. And I say black because there is a lot of conspiracies saying that the black man throughout history has been put down and has been made to believe played no part in making this world what it is today. All right? So there's a lot of things going. Don't think this is just what it is. And then Oprah Winfrey, a black woman herself, coming out, having Wade Robson and Jimmy Safechuck on the Oprah Winfrey Show, one of the biggest names in daytime TV, Oprah Winfrey, and she's the person that people believe. What Oprah Winfrey says goes. You just get one recommendation on her Oprah Winfrey book club, and you're set for life. She can make or she can break you. And I can't believe Oprah, who was a big supporter of Michael Jackson throughout his whole career, has now come out and basically she's Judas kissed him and gave him the kiss of death, and basically now is saying Michael Jackson's a pedophile and she wants nothing to do with him. I mean, this whole thing reeks. I smell a new world order. So let's break this down now. There's going to be probably a lot of videos about this, but I think this one, well, you'll see. So at the start of the documentary, they're building up and they're showing what a relationship and how they got to meet Michael, and they'll show Jimmy and Wade on what big fans they were of Michael Jackson. I mean, Jimmy not so much a big fan of Michael Jackson until the Pepsi commercial. Wade was a fan since he was 7 years old, learned to dance like Michael on his own. He got a hold of the Thriller tape and he learned to dance like Michael, and then as Michael was about to tour Australia, they announced there's going to be a Michael Jackson dance competition and that he should join, and the winner gets to meet Michael Jackson and go to the concert. And that's how Wade, he won the competition and he got to meet Michael Jackson. It was the first time he met Michael Jackson. Jimmy first met Michael Jackson on the Pepsi commercial. So they were playing out these two guys and they're going back and forth, and they'll say how they met Michael and they were setting up that way, and then how they got close to him and how Michael stayed at Jimmy's house later on in the story. Okay, so to break it down, I'm hoping that you've watched this, all right? If you go and watch this, do yourself a favor, regardless if you want to shut off and you don't believe these allegations and you want to believe Michael is telling the truth and you want to believe Michael's legacy and he is not the monster that they portray in this movie. But still, go and do it, because I want people to see so they can really talk about it to other people with the knowledge that I've seen it. All right, so that's really important. And I'm not saying, oh, do this to support HBO and support the documentary. No, I'm doing this because to educate yourself. All right, so when people attack, you can make the proper educated comeback. All right, because how can you talk about it to someone that's trying to destroy Michael Jackson when you haven't seen it yourself? All right, there's many ways to go and see it, so go and see it any which way you can. So Jimmy's mother said that, and Wade would say that they would talk on the phone when Michael wasn't with them for 7 to 8 hours at a time. I mean, how can a grown adult, Michael being around 30 at the time, Jimmy and Wade being 7 years old, what are they talking about for 7 to 8 hours? I mean, I can't even have a conversation with my brother for 1 hour without it getting boring. So what are they talking about? What's a 7-year-old even talking about with no life experience? What do you do today? Oh, I played handball. or I coloured in. I mean, and then what's really the strange thing is they had the taped, in the documentary, they had the taped conversation with them. So you heard Michael's voice and you heard Jimmy Wade's voice. I mean, who's taping conversations in the 80s or in the 90s? You know what I mean? You only have a tape recorder that's press play and record on tape. Like, so what, it was the mother going into the other phone, putting the tape recorder, putting the phone on the tape recorder and recording these phone calls? I mean, was that Michael's real voice? Or was it just like a reenactment? You didn't see anything, you just heard the phone calls. Who's taping phone calls in the 80s and 90s? I mean, really? And maybe, okay, well, it's Michael Jackson on the other side, we're really excited, let's tape the phone call. But, really? You think, really? And then the mother saying she was listening into conversation and she never heard anything out of the ordinary. Nothing suspicious and out of the ordinary. So they were talking for 7-8 hours and allegedly Michael was their lover and grooming them for sex as a pedophile. But during the whole duration, to 7-8 hours, she never heard anything suspicious. I mean, that's suspicious to me. Remember when you're a kid and you're on the phone in the other room and maybe you were talking to a crush or someone that you liked and they had the courage to call you up, but your mum would all scream about you, get off the phone, right? 7-8 hours, what? So was he in the lounge room? It would have been very open. Or the parents' bedroom. I mean, I reckon that itself doesn't really stand on strong legs. 7-8 hour conversation with a predator, Michael Jackson, grooming them for this sort of life, but nothing suspicious was being said. All right, and then you had the fact that they got a fax machine, and that Michael was giving all these faxes, and they were sending faxes both ways. Yet nothing suspicious there. I find that very suspicious also in itself. So these things, I find loopholes in them in the movie. Okay, so both Jimmy and Wade claimed that when they got to Neverland that there was all these different locations with bedrooms around, and like the guest house and the Ferris wheel and these other playrooms, the movie theatre, and that there was all bedrooms set up around Neverland, and that they would sneak in there and Michael would do these things to him. So my question, when Elaine rings alarm bells for me, is with all the security Michael had, his groundskeepers, his gardeners, his security, where were they? And really, they could get away in his whole estate and no one followed them and he didn't have to have protection and there wasn't minders? Because I find that very hard to believe, because Wade's sister herself said when they first went to Neverland, all the staff came out and was there to greet them, and she'd never experienced anything like that before. So she's basically saying there's a lot of staff on the house, and that's admitted by Wade's sister. So we know there's a lot of staff. Now Michael, the most popular man in the world, has bodyguards everywhere he goes, is surrounded with minders. Where were they? Do you know? How could Michael sneak off with these young boys in these various different rooms and not ring alarm bells to any of his house stuff? I find that very hard to believe that they could do that, being such a superstar. I mean, Neverland, crazy fans could easily jump the fence on the estate and get in there. I mean, you got to understand, the most popular, and you do understand, the most popular man in the world's history. People, as soon as they find out the location Michael is in, they go scrambling to him. Paparazzi waiting outside his house for him to come out. He couldn't even get out his gates without being followed. So, again, these accusations of Michael sneaking them off to rooms around Neverland, to me, just doesn't seem possible. Now, Wade's grandmother came with on one of the trips, and she stayed in Neverland too, and she said that she went up into the big bedroom, into Michael's room, and he had another staircase within his room going up to another bedroom within his room, and she said she sat on the edge of the bed with Michael, and she recalls a train track going around his bed and toys and everything in Michael's room, and she said when she talked to Michael, basically he was just a kid. That's how she referred to him, as that this man was basically a kid, and how he acted was very childlike. And that's what the kids were drawn to him. I mean, the kids didn't want to leave Michael's room, and it wasn't just one staying in there. There was families, and they were staying in the guest part of Neverland, and there was kids just running around. I mean, the kids didn't want to leave Michael. They wouldn't leave his side. And I guess that's what people saw, that he was this big kid. So another thing I find very suspicious with this whole documentary was Jimmy then, in the allegation that he said that he had this wedding to Michael, and then Michael bought him this ring, and they exchanged vows. Like, this is a 7-year-old kid we're talking about. And he said that he had a love for jewelry. Not Michael. Jimmy said he had a love for jewelry. I mean, it's 7 years old, and he's a boy, remember? What 7-year-old boy has a love for jewelry and then consciously thinks, I want to collect jewelry? I mean, that's a little bit suspicious. And he said that him and Michael would go jewelry shopping, and that they would go together in jewelry shops, have the shops closed, but say that they were buying jewelry for a gift for different women, but they would try it on Jimmy's finger, and they said, oh, he has the same finger as a lady, and then that he would give these jewelry gifts to to Jimmy as a gift for doing sexual acts. I mean, I just find that very suspicious and very hard to believe. And then, to me, the kicker was that an adult Jimmy comes on the documentary and has this jewelry box, and he lifts open the lid, and it's this, beautifully crafted jewelry box, and he has 10 to 15 different jewelry and different rings inside the box, and he brings out the ring and he goes, this is the one I got married to Michael with. And he's actually initially really talking endearing, that it was really something special to him. That's what I got to feel the whole time, that was Jimmy thought this was quite special. And then as he's talking, and he says, yes, but I don't like to look at this ring, it's bad memories. Okay, so who keeps a ring that reminds them of being raped? I mean, really? So he has this entire jewelry box. This is like Dexter keeping trophies, from the TV series Dexter. He's basically keeping trophies or something, because if it was such bad memories for him, why does he have this jewelry box of Michael Jackson's rape rings? Sorry for the harsh analogy, but that's basically what it is. Michael Jackson's rape rings. I mean, come on, that's a load of BS. He wouldn't keep this jewelry. Either that it was a mock for the documentary, that they just got new jewelry and just faked it. Yeah, this was the jewelry. I mean, then that's just fully lying. That wasn't the jewelry at all. So again, that puts holes in the documentary where I think, I'm not a psychologist either, but I just wouldn't think you would keep rape gifts as a memory. You would have, and if it had diamonds and it was as precious as he says, and Michael gave it to him, even before these allegations came out, before he decided to attack Michael instead of defend him, like he did before, he would have sold it. He could have sold it for a couple of million. So, you see how that doesn't add up? Doesn't add up at all to me. Not at all. So another thing that strikes me also in this documentary is Wade, when he went to America and he had his time, and when Michael allegedly first started grooming him and touching him and having sexual relations with him, he came back to Australia, and he was in the Johnny Young Talent organisation, and he was doing shows, according to his mother, basically every weekend. And he was so good that they organised basically all the talent shows around him being Michael, and then they had the other kids and dancing around Wade. And he was on many talk shows. He was on the Willisy talk show. He was on Agro's Cartoon Connection that I saw. That's a cartoon morning show in Australia, or later on became an afternoon show. And he was on there as a guest. So he was becoming quite the child celebrity in Australia due to him dancing on stage with Michael. And they were asking this kid, a 7-year-old, remember, just direct questions. What was Michael like? What's it like learning to dance and him teaching him the moonwalk? And what's it like to stay at Neverland? And he would answer these questions on the beat, right? Now, how is it? Unless Michael was MK Ultraing, hypnotizing him. Kids tell the truth, okay? And so the whole time, because what he said was basically every time he was alone with Michael, Michael touched him. Every single time, he claims. Now, he's just getting direct questions. He's not panicking. He's not looking nervous. He's a 7-year-old kid telling the truth. Never once did he say, oh, and Michael Jackson kissed me. He's saying that Michael Jackson put his tongue down his throat and they French deep kissed. And it's a 7-year-old kid. You don't think he's going to say this? It's not like he was taken away on an MK Ultra program. Well, we don't know. And totally brainwashed. Because how is he not telling the truth? They say most kids tell the truth. I just find it so difficult to believe that the two boys in question, the only two, by the way, the only two, lie and lie again on national TV. It's not that they're lying, they're just not even talking about it. I find that very difficult to believe. And the fact that both parents were oblivious to any of this after 7-hour conversations, after Wade's mother saying she was eavesdropping in the hotel room to see what they were doing, and she's never heard anything suspicious. And I want to know how she was saying she was eavesdropping in the hotel room. How would she even get close to the door? Because Michael would have had security right around the entire floor of his hotels. she makes out she was just walking around and she can just stick her ear to the door. I don't buy that for 1 second. I mean, do you? You don't see that's possible, right? So again, to me, there's more holes in the story that just don't add up. Okay, another thing. Jimmy claims that in the hotels that after Michael was touching him pretty much every day, that then he started bringing out the more hardcore stuff, and that he would go into the bathtub and Michael had put a TV in there, and that they'd watch pornographic videos, and he'd bring out magazines. Now, these are the only two boys claiming this happened. And in Michael's passing, and on that time that Michael got strip searched, when he got accusations against him before, and they searched the whole house thoroughly, thoroughly. And if this is a man that has, according to Jimmy, pornographic material everywhere of child pornography, it would have been on his computer, it would have been in his drawers, it would have been in his sock drawers, tucked under the, the typical places people put pornographic stuff, right? And not one bit of child pornography was ever found in Neverland. Not one. And so it's not like, so Michael Jackson passes, and a shock passing, it wasn't like he was getting sick and he died. He just, boom, overnight he just died. So he would have had no way to get rid of any of this evidence, and that they would have searched his place, and he wasn't even ready for the search either. Yet nothing was found. I find that impossible. Impossible to believe that an alleged pedophile that has child pornography around his entire house, according to Jimmy Safechuck, that not one bit of material was ever found. I find that very hard to believe, and again, it's another breakdown on this Neverland fake documentary. So here's the kicker for me, okay? They both, when they started getting a little bit older, and they're saying that Michael promised to make them big stars, and that when Wade went back to America to live full time, his mother brought him over there with his sister, that they're saying Michael Jackson basically neglected them and basically just put him off to the side a little bit, and that he was there for 2 weeks on his third trip back when they decided to move there, and that Michael had him set up, okay, you can come and you can be in the black and white video. And when Wade got there, he said Macaulay Culkin was there, and that he saw Macaulay Culkin in the exact same position he was 1 year previous, and that jealousy started to sink in, and that now Macaulay was his number one, and that Wade was pushed way back in the line. And I mean, from a kid with stars in his eyes that Michael treated well, that Michael brought onto stage, treated him to a great time in Neverland. I mean, this is going to be natural for a kid. His superstar, that he was number one position in Michael's life. And now there's Macaulay Culkin taking his position. I mean, can you imagine how Wade feels? And Jimmy also. They were getting older and there was a younger, new kid on the block taking their spot that they thought belonged to them. They thought Michael belonged to them. Michael also possibly one of the busiest, most wanted men on the planet. They believed they owned him, and that they were entitled to something. So I can see how much jealousy came in. And then there was another Australian Michael Jackson fan that Michael took on board, Brett Barnes. And he said, in his own words, Wade said, when he found out especially that he was Australian, he was even more jealous. Right, so that's massive reason to do this documentary now. Holding off suppression of jealousy and realizing, you know what? Michael Jackson's passed away. He owes us. He owes us. And that now he's here, that he can't defend himself. Now's our chance. We want to seek revenge on what he owes us. That's what I think this portrays in Neverland Part 1. I'm yet to see Part 2, but I will this week. That's my breakdown of Part 1. And I find that they did a very convincing job to put out that Michael Jackson was this predator. I mean, I didn't expect anything less. And the backlash for this Neverland, it's absolutely devastating for the Michael estate, for Michael's legacy. And I think it's just warming up. Because if they've got Oprah Winfrey now on the side of leaving Neverland, and they're going to ban all Michael Jackson songs on the radio, this could be a travesty. They will erase Michael and the Jackson 5 from the history of the world. Mark my words, that's what they want to do. They want to erase this powerful, conscious human being from the entire population. And it could be from 20, 50, 100 years from now, no one will even know this man existed. For whatever reason, I still don't know. I feel this is what they're trying to do, and this is what they're leading into. So there you have it. There's my breakdown of Leaving Neverland Part 1. Part 2 to come. Please, I'm not suggesting you support HBO or you support this, but do yourself a favor. Get educated, get knowledge so you can see for yourself. And as you watch it, please take into account what I've let you know about what I've seen in it. The truth will set you free. And remember, the future is an idea. Imagine it.
Yeah.